Today we're going to go over the complete, so we're going to break down the proper form as well as the incorrect way to do it as well, and then we're going to give you some modifications if the actual exercise is a little too difficult for you. So we're going to go ahead and jump in to the equipment needed. So all we're going to need is a mat, maybe a blanket, could even use the floor if you'd like. So this is our starting position. So as we're just laying flat on the ground, on the mat here, big part, we're looking at those, making sure those elbows are right in line with the shoulders, and then the, the hands right behind the ears, not necessarily on the neck. So we see this as sometimes as a problem is of people are pulling a little bit too much on their neck and causing a lot of cervical pressure. So by putting just the fingers right behind the ears, that helps us with taking that away and making sure we're using the abdominals a little bit more as well. So then you can see, once we go right here is of the position, all we're trying to do is crunch in a little bit as of with that upper body and then pulling those legs right into you. So as you can see, this is our starting position. That's the finishing position. And then if we go one more, then this would be after that first repetition, all we're trying to do is try to maintain that lumbar spine is staying within the ground, keeping those abdominals activated. And all we're doing is pulling in and pushing out just like that. So as you can see, as we pull in, we push out and relax just along those lines. And that's just a really good exercise for the abdominals. But there are always ways to do it incorrectly. So big one here of what we're looking for is we're not getting that straight line from the hip all the way to the ankle. So whenever we're not doing that, we're not actually getting abdominal work that we would like. So what we would like to see is a nice straight line from that hip all the way to that foot as well. So then we're going to go to the lumbar spine stability. So we want to make sure the abdominals are working correctly. So this would be telling us the abdominals are not working like they're supposed to. So we see a nice little space right here in that lower back. So whenever we're doing that, that means the abdominals are not active, is because the pelvis is rotated forward. And then that's going to make sure the abdominals aren't doing the work that they're supposed to. And the lumbar spine is going to be taking a little bit more pressure than we would like to. So what we would like to see would be this, where we have a nice straight line all the way across the back. There's no spacing. This means once we actually squeeze those, once we get those abdominals activated, keeps that lumbar spine nice and stabilized. So then, if you're not able to actually maintain that nice flat back, we're going to show you a couple different ways to be able to keep the back on the ground. So with this, all we're trying to do is the first one that you've seen was it was a little bit further out, about maybe 6 inches, maybe 8 inches from the ground. This one's a little bit higher up, so as we're getting a little bit of a higher angle, is because this takes away the amount of pressure from that lumbar spine. Still working the abdominals at a good rate, but just all we're trying to do is making sure to keep that lumbar spine stabilized. And then all we're trying to do is show you just some kind of different angles and kind of how far pretty much you can kind of go. So you can even go as pretty much almost as straight up there. As long as that lumbar spine is stabilized, we're working the abdominals efficiently. And that's kind of what we're looking for the complete. So I'm super excited to see you next time.